Now President Trump's been meeting Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi for talks on trade and security. The pair have already signed a framework deal on the supply of critical minerals and rare earth minerals. And in his opening remarks, President Trump had high praise for Japan's new leader. He said ties with Tokyo stronger than ever as he touted a potential arms deal between the two. President Trump then delivered a speech to American sailors on the USS George Washington, an aircraft carrier currently docked in Japan. He was accompanied by Prime Minister Takaichi. This woman is a winner. So you know we become very close friends, all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. Really, there's never been anything like it. Born out of the ashes of a terrible war, our bond has grown over 8 decades into the beautiful friendship that we have. It's a foundation of peace and security in the Pacific. You see it? Well, let's speak to our correspondent in Tokyo, Shimmer Khalil. So a good first meeting between the new Prime Minister Takaichi and President Trump. What's your assessment of the overall relationship between the two and how this meeting has taken it into whatever direction? Do you know Rajini? I think Sanae Takaichi went into this meeting as a big test, her big diplomatic debut after she made history as Japan's first female prime minister last week. And there was a lot to worry about because this is a big guest to host in your first week in power. But I think that so far, and we're coming towards the end of the day, it has really gone very well for the Prime Minister. H was full of praise for her. He called her a winner. I think they've served some iconic pictures there in their first meeting earlier in the day, but also on board the USS George Washington amid the US Navy. It's a message of strength. It's a message of solidified friendship and alliance, and a message that those two partners on the trade front and crucially on the defense and the military front are stronger than ever. And remember, these two share a common friend, which is the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And, you know, even though he's no longer with us, he was killed more than 3 years ago. It felt to me like he was very much present in spirit today, Rajini, and this is not just an ice-breaking exercise. I think the fact that these two leaders shared a close relationship with Shinzo Abe meant that there was a lot of ground that was already covered on the first meeting. They had a lot in common. I think when it comes to Donald Trump pushing for more military spending from Japan, he's pushing an open door. But I think despite the pleasantries and a very positive day so far for the Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, there's going to be some tough decisions for her to make when Donald Trump pushes on trade, especially more access for the United States in Japanese markets, in the car market, in the agriculture market. This is going to be tricky for her. So she has to strike that balance between managing her country's alliance with the United States and managing her country's domestic interests. Okay, Shah Halil in Tokyo, thank you very much for the moment. Well, let's stay with that story by speaking to Asuka Kwabara, a politics and economics analyst who is also in Tokyo. Welcome to BBC News. Well, President Trump has hailed what he's described a golden age between the US and Japan. How would you define that golden age right now? Then Quota mentioned the beginning of the discussions between Trump and Takaichi has been anything but successful. They were praising each other, commenting all the positive things, including the ties with Mr. Abe Shindo, who was close friends of Donald Trump, as well as successor of Ms. Takaichi. So I believe that this created the fundamental of the strong relationship between the US and Japan, and we will see how that goes along the line, especially when it comes to the trade deals. Yeah, let's talk about the trade deal in a second. But let's talk about this rare earths deal that they signed. How significant is this in your estimation? I believe that both Takaichi and Trump have shared view on China. They both want to show a strong stance against China, and agreeing on the rare earth deal with, between Japan and US definitely helps them to strengthen its relationship. And of course, it's a tricky situation where China will get involved. And it will definitely include other players in the market. But this is a very significant deal that Japan has backup from the US, as well as the US making sure that they have an ally in the region Asia Pacific, so that they can play a more stronger stance against China, which I believe that is shared between Mr. Taki and Trump. And just very briefly, tariffs is another bugbear, isn't it? For most countries when it comes to dealing with the US. I know America wants better access to Japan's car market. For example, where are things at the moment when it comes to the two on tariffs? And unfortunately in the Japan, yen has been quite weak, which weakened the presence of the Japanese car makers. And that is why the deal with the US, Donald Trump. Donald Trump pushing for the purchase of the American cars by Japan has been quite controversial, but at the same time with the strong sentiment of the economy pushing the Nikkei to be to average to be more than 50,000 yen for the first time in the history. It has a good indication to the Japanese companies overall, and it definitely will play a significant role when it comes to the actual